Thank you for tuning in to another edition of Not Church, where we encourage people to think. Today, I want to talk about a topic. I touched base on this topic not long ago, and it was the message entitled "Why Protect Yourself." So, when I shared that message, the message was mainly in regard to protecting yourself emotionally and allowing God to take our emotions and deal with our emotions by our being honest with ourselves. I think one of the biggest travesties in the church is that in the church we learn to lie and we learn to cover up things and we learn to put on airs and fronts. And so when people see the real us, they're like shocked, like, who are we dealing with? Type of deal. We're all human and we all make mistakes. We all fall short. So the best thing that we can do is be real with ourselves and real with God, and just lay it all out there and allow God to do the protecting for us. Now, but that doesn't mean, right, that God doesn't want us to, while we're here on this planet, physically protect ourselves. So I want to be very clear about that. And that leads me to this next subject. Thou shalt not kill. And it's in Exodus 20 and 13. Some translations read, you shall not murder. Now, those are two different ways to say that, you shall not kill and you shall not murder. So murder is, when you take an innocent person's life for no justified reason. That should not murder. And that's what I think the New International Version says it in that way. King James Version says thou shalt not kill, which means that it leaves a lot of ambiguity because, should you take that literal or should you not? Does that mean to turn the other cheek with everyone? We have two prominent African American leaders. You had Dr. Martin Luther King, who taught civil rights and who taught turn the other cheek, nonviolent protest. And then you had Malcolm X, who taught by any means necessary, which simply meant that every individual has a God-given right to protect himself, herself, their family, their women, their children. Everybody is endowed that right by God. Both of these men were murdered. I like to say that our truth lies somewhere within the middle of that. That no, we're not going around hurting people. We're not violating laws. We're not breaking laws. However, we have the God-given right to protect ourselves. And so, as long as we abide by the law, we're within our bounds to protect ourselves. Now, we know that that scripture can be misinterpreted because it says that thou shalt not kill in the King James Version. But then in the newer versions, it says murder. But we know as African American people that sometimes that changes depending on what race you are. The same rights that are afforded to whites in this area are not afforded to African Americans in this area. We get such high penalty for protecting ourselves, and that's a problem. If we were to kill a white man, we're scrutinized greater than the white man who kills the black man. I believe it's important that every person that calls themselves a believer in God understand that God gives them the God-given right to protect themselves. No one alive is going to take that scripture literal if they have common sense. Now, I'm not saying that Dr. Martin Luther King and those that follow him didn't have common sense. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that we know that being peaceful led ultimately to Dr. Martin Luther King's demise. And he was the advocator of complete peace when it came to violence against others. Now, again, you may say, well, Malcolm X, he was murdered too, and violence beget violence. But I tell you what, I'd rather not give up my opportunity, right, to defend my right to exist here on this planet. That way, at least I have a chance. In fact, I believe that God endows us with the power to defend ourselves in such circumstances. We have to be very careful when we're looking at scripture, because some things we seem to take literal, whereas other things we seem not to take literal. What side are you on? Thank you for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you for being a part of a body of people who know what they believe and why they believe it. And remember, it's okay to think. Until we meet again.
Everybody won't be on top, yeah. Whether the roof or the mountaintop.